Hello everyone. After learning square and square root in my previous video, we'll be continuing with learning higher powers, roots, and directed numbers in this video. Let us start learning by cubes. Cube means multiplying a number by itself 3 times. So let us talk about cubes of integers, decimals, and fractions. So 5 cubes simply means multiplying 5 3 times and the answer comes out as 125. When you're calculating cubes of decimal numbers, in the first step, we just have to calculate the cube of the number without the decimal, which gives me 2 multiplied by 2 multiplied by 2, which is equal to 8. And the second step, we'll be inserting the decimal back in the answer. So in order to do that, we just check the decimal places available in the question, which in this case is 2. And we multiplied with 3, which gives me 6. So my answer should have 6 decimal places in it. So my answer simply can be written as 0.000008. That is 5 zeros and the sixth digit is the 8. So I have 6 places available after decimal in my final answer. In order to calculate cubes of fractions, we calculate the cube of both numerator as well as denominator to give you the answer. After calculating cubes, let us move on to calculate cube roots. In the first question, I have to calculate the cube of minus 216. In order to do that, I'll simply ignore the negative sign and calculate the prime factors of 216. The prime factors of 216 can simply be written as 2 into 2 into 2 into 3 into 3 into 3. Now in order to calculate the cube roots, 3 2's will be clubbed as 1 and 3 3's will be clubbed as 1 in my answer. The final answer is simply given as 6, and I again put back the minus sign which is given to me in the question. So children, do not forget to put the minus sign back. If the question consists of plus sign, you again have to put the plus sign. If it consists of minus sign, then we put the minus sign back. In the next question, I have to find the cube root of 8000. Now in order to do so, again there are 2 steps involved. The first step requires me to calculate the cube root of the number present inside the cube root excluding the zeros, which in this case is 8, and as you all can see on the screens, the cube root of 8 can simply be written as 2. In the second step, again using the above methodology, you can club 3 zeros as 1, so the final answer can simply be given as 20. In order to calculate cube roots of fractions, we have to calculate cube roots of the numerator as well as the denominators. So in this case, we'll have to calculate the cube root of 64 as well as 125, which can be written down as follows, and we get a final answer as 4 upon 5, which is equal to 0.8. And the reason we write 2 into 2 is because there are 6 2's available in the numerator, and each set of 3 2's will come out as 1. Next, let us move on to the higher powers. Now these are slightly complicated problems which involve higher powers. In the first question, I need to calculate cube of 3 and multiply that with 4th root of 16. In order to do so, we'll first calculate the cube of 3, which is simply given as 27, and in order to calculate the 4th root of 16, we'll again write 16 in its prime factor form, and instead of 3, we'll now take 4 because it's the 4th root. So every 4 2's or every 4 of a number inside the root will be considered as 1. So the answer comes out as 2. And the sign involved between the two is multiplication. So my final answer will simply be given as 27 into 2, which is 54. Let us move on to a slightly more complicated set of problems where I have to calculate the 4th power of 0.1 and multiply that with the cube root of 1000. In order to do that, I'll simply write 0.1 4 times. So the answer comes out as 0.1 into 0.1 into 0.1 into 0.1. Now in order to solve this, I'll first ignore the decimal and I'll simply multiply the digits, which is 1, 4 times. So 1 into 1 into 1 into 1 will simply give me my answer as 1, and 4 decimal places, 1 from here, 1 from here, 1 from here, and 1 from here. So these 4 decimal places have to be mentioned in your answer, and that is the reason my answer comes out as 0.0001. There are exactly 4 places present after the decimal in my final answer. Now, in order to calculate the cube root of 1000, we'll simply calculate the cube root of the number which is present inside the cube root, which is 1, and then 3 zeros present in the 1000 will come out as 1 zero, so the answer is 10. And so my final answer will be given as 0.0001 into 10, which will be equal to 0.001, and this can simply be obtained by shifting the decimal point one place to the right of its original place. Let us solve problems related to directed numbers. I want the students to pause the video and take a look at the question carefully. Okay, the question revolves around the financial transactions made by Mr. X. To begin with, Mr. X has 310 pounds, which means his opening balance can be written as 310 pounds. Next, he pays house rent of 400 pounds, which is an expense, which means 400 pounds will be deducted from his account. And as a result, the balance available with him will be minus 90. The reason is after addition or subtraction, we always put sign of the greater number. And out of the two numbers, 310 and 400, 400 is greater and it has a negative sign. So my answer also has a negative sign. The next transaction is a credit transfer of 150 pounds, which means Mr. X gained 150 pounds. So now the net balance available in his account or available with him would be plus 60 pounds. Then he goes to a restaurant and pays a bill of 50 pounds. So again, it's an expense. So the amount available with him will be 10 pounds. And the last one is a salary which he gets of 250 pounds. So the final amount available with Mr. X after all the financial transactions in its sequence is 260 pounds. So the closing balance can be mentioned as 260 pounds. Let us take a look at few questions based on the topics that we have learned. I'll be sharing the answer for these questions in my next video.
I hope you all enjoyed this lecture and your concepts are clear. For any doubts, you can send it to me on my email ID doubts@thenowledgecurve.com, which is also mentioned in the description link. Thank you for joining us.